Greetings, fellow Hess Truck collectors. My name is Pixar Prime 10, and today I am back with another Hess Truck review. Today I'll be looking at what is arguably one of the most unique trucks Hess has ever released. That's right, the 2009 Race Car and Racer. As always, starting off with the box, as you can see on the top here, yes, that is the top of the box. This one is abnormally short and skinny for a Hess Truck box, but we have the classic Starry Night gas station artwork, which you guys all know I very much love and is my favorite part of a lot of Hess Truck packaging. As per usual, you have your side of the box that shows off all of the special features of the truck, or in this case, of the car. And on the other side of the box, we have a beautiful illustration of the two race cars driving through an open mountain snowy passageway. And of course, in classic Hess Truck tradition, on the front flap of the box, we have the front of the car, and on the back flap, we have the back of the car. But of course, you guys didn't come here to look at a piece of cardboard, so how about we actually get the race car out here right now? And ladies and gentlemen, here we have the 2009 Hess race car. I was 9 years old when this truck came out, and of course, kids love race cars. And this truck came out only 3 years after the release of my favorite movie of all time, Disney Pixar's Cars. So you can imagine at the time, I was on a pretty big race car kick. And as if it wasn't great enough that as a child, I thought this car was so much fun to play with, this car absolutely nails it in the design department. It's sleek, which up until then we had never seen on a Hess truck before. Anything we had gotten up until this point was a bulky or rugged looking kind of truck, but this one just did a really great job of bringing Hess into a more modern look. Also, unlike any truck we had seen before, this truck, or car, is so incredibly low to the ground, and everything about its design just speaks speed. Speaking of speed, the attention to detail on this car is fantastic. There's all kinds of curves, intakes, and exhausts on this car to let you know that you're probably not going to win a race against this thing. I mean, seriously, everywhere you look there's an attention to detail, whether it's the air intakes on the side and top of the car, or the huge spoilers sitting on the back. It's no wonder this thing was going so fast in the commercial back from 2009. Perhaps one of my favorite details on the whole car is that there's actually a molded in line where the gull wing doors would be on this car. And of course, looking fantastic in traditional Hess Truck style, this car is decked out in chrome. You can see it in familiar places like the rearview mirrors and the rims, but it even has it in some unique places like inside the headlight casings, which just makes it look extra cool. Speaking of the headlights, they look awesome. Not only is there a nice big bulb for the main headlights themselves, but there's even a smaller orange bulb that would be the turn signal. And there is absolutely no confusion about what team this car is racing for. You can see Hess logos all over this thing. We have them on the front bumper, on the hood of the car, on the side of the car, all over the spoiler, and of course, the back of the car says Hess 2009. The car also has the word gasoline written on the side of it, which is something we don't see very much anymore, which I wish we did because I think it adds a sense of realism to the design of the trucks. And while we're on racing design, normally we're used to lines and pinstripes on Hess trucks in the past, but it works better than ever with this car. Well, because race cars have racing stripes and it just looks phenomenal. Now, I know I've said before that scale isn't exactly something that has traditionally made sense with the Hess trucks, but of course, I'm still going to talk about it. Looking at this car next to some of the more usual Hess trucks, it just doesn't make sense. Either this car is gigantic, or the trucks are really small. But we had that problem back in 1993 with the police car, which actually scales really nicely with the 2009 race car. Now, other than the lights and sounds, which we'll get to later, this car doesn't have any additional features except for the really cool way that it hides its secondary vehicle. I thought this feature was cool 12 years ago when this car came out, and I think it's just as cool now. At a glance, you can't even tell that this car is hiding anything. But if you push down on the hood, it'll pop open the front of the car, revealing the secondary race car. And just like magic, you push it back down, it locks into place, and you can't even tell anything was there. Now, those of you that have watched my channel a lot know that I usually complain when the secondary vehicle is very similar to the main vehicle, but in this case, it's not similar. It's the exact same thing. Now, don't get me wrong. I think the inverted colors versus the main car of the set look absolutely awesome. And as a pair, they look fantastic together. But you're not really getting any more play value out of this secondary vehicle because it's really the same thing. But what I will say is that the mini car is just as detailed as the big car, which is really very impressive. And they both look fantastic. And this one doesn't look any less sleek or cool than the big car. And on a positive note, this car is much smaller, so it actually will scale better with a lot of the normal sized Hess trucks. Now, they may not have done a whole lot to make it that much different from the big car, however, it does actually have its own play feature. Just like a whole ton of secondary vehicles in Hess's past, you can wind this car up and watch it speed away. Or not. Okay, race cars aren't really designed to drive in the snow, but I swear, if I had flat ground here, you would see this thing speed away, and it is fast. Now it's time to talk about my favorite part of every Hess truck. That's right, you guys know it, the lights and the sounds. To use these features though, you're going to need 2 C batteries for the big car and 1 AA battery for the small car. But on the bottom of both cars we have switches, and for the main car, if you turn the switch to on, you get the car decked out in these beautiful lights. And if you thought this thing looked cool before, it looks 10 times as cool lit up like this. As you can see, the headlights are nice and bright to light the way on the racetrack, and of course you have the taillights that come on in the back with the 2009 Hess Truck plate. And of course you can see tiny little details lit up all around the sides of the car, like the mirrors, the Hess logos, and the small red driving lights across the edge of the car. There are even lights that light up the bay inside of the car where you store the mini car. Turning the switch up one more notch activates the flashers on the car, which usually just flashes the lights on the truck in a very basic pattern. But the way the flashers work on this car is awesome. As you can see, the lights flash in a pattern that goes from the front of the car to the back of the car. So it almost gives the illusion that this car is driving really fast and light is moving across it. And of course, the mini car lights up just like its big brother. It doesn't have quite as many lights on it, but it still has the headlights, tail lights, the tag on the back, and some red driving lights along the edge of the car. And of course, when you put these two together with their lights on, it just looks so super cool. Now, the lights are great and all, but of course we can't forget about the other feature on the main car, which is the sounds. On both sides of the car where we can see the door, there are 2 buttons that activate the sounds. One of the buttons gives us an engine revving sound. The second is meant to mimic the sound that the car would make racing at very high speeds. And the third is a car horn, which paired with the flashers makes it look like the car alarm is going off, which is always something I get a kick out of. These sound effects are very on par with what we've seen on other Hess trucks before, and of course are always welcomed and add a great level of play value to the truck. I think the engine revving sound is awesome, and I think the sound of the car racing adds an awesome level of realism to it. Now, if I haven't made it clear by this point, I love the 2009 Hess truck. Sure, it doesn't scale well with other Hess trucks. But at the end of the day, even though I am a collector, that's not who these things are marketed towards. And even though the secondary vehicle may be a carbon copy of the main one, as a set, they just look so incredibly sleek and cool that I don't even care. And it just makes for one of the most unique releases in Hess truck history, and still stands out over 12 years later. And it's definitely a quintessential part of any Hess collector's collection. But that's going to wrap it up for my thoughts on this truck. I hope you guys enjoyed watching, and until next time, my name is Pixar Prime 10, and have yourselves a great day.